The Northwest Connecticut is known for its rolling hills and its beautiful rivers and forests. People here are committed to their local communities and strive to make their towns a safe and loving environment for young people. Recently, however, concerns are rising about shrinking student enrollment in local schools.
When I went to Cornwall Consolidated, there were over 200 students. When my daughter started going there, my oldest daughter, there was over 200 students there. And in between that time, it went down to 80 students.
Now the 8th grade class is 2 kids.
So the enrollment has been dropping and the projections are for it to continue to drop.
But I know in some districts, they've had big reductions in staff and what we call, they've cut a lot of teaching positions, and that hurts community, it hurts students, and it definitely hurts the people who are being cut.
Lee H. Kellogg, the elementary school in the community of Falls Village, has begun to feel the impact of declining enrollment, and this is starting to concern members in the community.
I'm extremely concerned. I do not think it's in the best interest of my grandson to be at Kellogg School in a class with 5 other kids.
The current environment it's very heated. We just went through budget season. We just passed another mill rate increase, partly because of increasing cost in the grade school.
There has been discussion regarding the declining enrollment in our school and all the schools in Region 1.
Some say that the best option would be to combine Cornwall Consolidated School and Lee H. Kellogg, but others oppose the idea because they believe that combining the schools would lower the amount of families moving into the area.
Closing the school, I think that would certainly be a last resort. You know, schools are such a big part of any community that the lack of presence of a school would certainly be sorely missed if it didn't exist here. So I think finding a solution that allows all the schools to continue to exist, but done so in a sustainable, economically viable fashion, that I think begs some good analysis and energy expense here in the short term.
We want to be able to offer a wide variety and array of opportunities for kids, but when we have fewer kids, then we have to think about the money that we don't get as much income for students. And then we have to charge our taxpayers in our area more money. We're already one of the most expensive districts in terms of the cost to the taxpayers of other schools compared to other schools in Connecticut.
The governor, he strongly recommending at this time that we look at collaboration between other schools in our in area districts nearby.
This budget, I'm going to ask for a lot of additional sacrifices.
He says there will be a major shift in resources for education to the cities and towns, proposing more aid for poorer places like New Haven and Waterbury.
We have 169 municipalities in Connecticut. We have no county government at all, the way they have in New York, say. So that means you have 169 towns and cities that have their own sets of regulations and their own interests and so on and so forth. This is not a recipe for coordinated effort.
I'm like the hated one for even, how dare you talk about compromise or a solution or something that the students might like.
We haven't gotten there yet. I think we're in the very early stages of looking at what is the future of our elementary schools.
A possible compromise may be to encourage more collaboration between Lee H. Kellogg and CCS.
And it may be possible that there's some configurations that would allow for, say, the earliest grades to be still in both towns and then combine the upper grades into one school.
The issues affecting Lee H. Kellogg have broader implications for other communities in our state.
These 2 schools are the canary in the coal mine because people in Sharon, Lakeville, Salisbury, and Canaan, and Kent don't have this problem to that significant yet. But, believe you me, it's coming. The other towns have to look at this and see how this is going to be settled. This area has been harder and harder and harder for young people to live in, to move into, and basically to stay. It's a government problem on the bigger level for our state representatives, And no one has worked together comprehensively on this. Everybody's got to participate in one way or another, from the local governments to the Region 1 boards and to the local boards. There has to be something done, and it has to start this year. They can't put it off another year.
You can't look at it as an isolated phenomenon. People are leaving Connecticut, period. There's a lack of affordable housing. There aren't that many jobs. I mean, it goes on and on and on. So you got a million variables here. And I don't think there's just one magic solution.
The only way that you can attract, I think, younger people to our community is by having a school, and a good school. Probably one of the first things you're going to want to look at when you decide where you're going to settle is, what kind of a school system do we have? And as far as I know, there's not one town or city who does not have an elementary school in their town for their kids.
I mean, you have to make it affordable for people to come and live in this area. You have to let our weekenders and part-time residents know that if they want to enjoy the area, they're going to have to help support the school system. That's the first step. This should have been done 5.5 years ago.
So until something can be done about affordable housing and jobs in the area, what can be done to preserve these treasured educational institutions?
Kellogg School here in Falls Village, they've done a really good job of sharing some services. They share an art teacher with Cornwall. They collaborate with athletics for the middle school. They save money that way. If they're going to bring in some extra programming, they look to see if there's another school that wants to share that extra programming for a given day or days, so that there's some cost savings there.
Lee H. Kellogg may not be a problem, but actually an example of how things can be done right. For years, the school has had one of the smallest student populations in Region 1. But has found creative, cost-effective ways to make this a strength, not a weakness.
We started multi-age grouping here back in 1994. Many people think that schools multi-grade for enrollment reasons because maybe the numbers are too low and they want to have more opportunities or a bigger class. And indeed, that is certainly a reason to do it. But it was started here for educational philosophy reasons. Certainly how we fund it is a challenge, but there is a whole movement out there right now called micro schools. You might want to look that up, and they are all about very tiny schools. And some school districts are even shifting to make smaller schools of themselves than having bigger schools, because they see the benefit of relationship building and creating a strong foundation for students. And because we have small numbers, maybe we have 15 in a class, it's very easy to take a group of students, have them all have a meaningful learning experience, be able to give them feedback so that they can revise and move on. It's not our job, it's not my job as a principal to decide whether this school is going to continue or to exist, but as long as it does, it's my job as a principal to say, how are we going to accommodate and make changes and shifts over time as our enrollment drops.
Despite the positive steps being taken by Lee H. Kellogg, more will need to be done to ensure the school continues to offer a quality education. But Falls Village should not face this alone. This is an issue that affects all the communities in the northwest corner.
This means something to me. This region means something to me. Our town means something to me. And our town being able to have the destiny of our kids in our hands and not someone else's is important to me as well.
I think conversations are starting to take place about what our elementary schools could look like moving forward. And it's not a conversation that Falls Village can have alone. It needs to have it with the neighboring towns so that we, maybe other neighboring towns are not interested in collaborating with us. If they're not interested in collaborating with us, then we don't really have anything else to talk about. If they are interested in collaborating with us, then we do, then we will know what our options are. Then we can investigate them.
This is a topic that seems to be taboo. It's almost like healthcare. If you mention it, and whatever you mention, people are so individualistic about it and so town-oriented about it, it creates angst. I think what everybody has to do is drop all the ground rules and say, listen, no idea is a crazy idea.
People under 18 years old have a voice. They need to learn to use it. Speak up. Your opinion counts. You're the ones that are doing this schooling thing if you're in the public schools. Speak up, start a petition.
We may come back where you may have enough kids in some point, in another 20 years, you may have 200 kids in Cornwall and 150 in Falls Village. So, I mean, I think we have to be pretty far-sighted as far as what could happen.
It's important to have those conversations, to have them be very transparent, and to include really all the stakeholders. Parents need to be involved in that conversation, certainly board members, certainly teachers who are professionals in terms of what they think might be best educationally, board members, so that it's not just about what are we going to do about our small school, but how are we going to make it the best school that it can be.